this little school, Edward Darracott came to be the headmaster in 1935. It is here that he carried out a remarkable experiment. At a time when the proficiency examination dominated schooling, Darracott dared to engage children in developing practical skills outside the classroom. Darracott's projects at Jack's Mill School brought national and international attention, yet he barely figures in the history of New Zealand education. When Darracott arrived at Kotuku, it was the last year of the Great Depression. This is what Darracott wrote in a report later requested by Peter Fraser, the Minister of Education in Michael Savage's first Labour government. Consider the prospect: shingle pits, swamps and barren hillocks, and all over an atmosphere gloomy and despondent. This was the environment of the pupils attending Jack's Mill School at the beginning of 1935. On one side of the school was a shingle pit some 10 feet in depth. On the other, in strange contrast, square garden plots edged with timber and resembling nothing so much as a cemetery. Here are pupils who all too soon will become the men and women to whom we are to look for the effective government of this country of ours. But look at this place today. These beautiful trees and gardens were planted in Darracott's time here. Darracott wrote of his surroundings in 1935. We expect of the child beautiful thoughts and praiseworthy ideals, yet place them all too often, alas, and in their formative years, amid surroundings uninspiring, unimaginative, and totally unattractive. Can we wonder at the results obtained in later years? Vandalism alone must find rich soil in which to grow. Is it not essential that the growing child, during his most impressionable years, be given an environment in which it is fit for him to live? With this driving missionary sense of what Edward Darracott believed that he must do as a teacher, he set about transforming this place into a model of what the new educational ideas could achieve. These gardens and this unusual little building tell an amazing story. When all of this was overgrown and these buildings were in sad disrepair, in 1994, two of Darracott's pupils, brothers Tom and John O'Brien, worked here every weekend. Tom, who came from Nelson, and John from Greymouth, began to cut the grass, repair, repaint and restore every part of the old school. All of this work was done on their own time and paid for out of their own pockets. What was life like here in 1935 that you remember?
Well, I was only young, but I remember the men were only working part-time because there was no work much in the mill, and they were all living in mill houses, so they were obliged to work the part-time, and a lot of them were going out gold digging and doing all sorts of things, and it was a very, very sad time.
Hi, we're at the home of Rosemary O'Brien in Nelson. Rosemary was the twin sister of Tom O'Brien, and Rosemary was the architect of the bungalow at Jack's Mill School. Rosemary was involved in the construction of the bungalow right from the very beginning and right to the end. Rosemary, I want you to tell me a little bit about your special memories that you have. Firstly about especially about Kotuku itself back in those days.
Well, it was our life. We were young children and we shifted from Naihiri to Kotuku after that big earthquake because we thought that Kotuku was safer. So we turned 5 and Tom and I went to school. The school, well, it was just a little square box. Had a lady teacher, and I think there was a man teacher there for a while. And we settled down, but we didn't know what we were in for the rest of our life. We were the luckiest children in the world. Our next teacher was Mr. Darracott from Dunedin. Well, we heard he was a young man. He was going to board at the boarding house at Kotuku near the mill.
So Edward Darracott came here in 1935. What were your first impressions of him?
He was quite, he had fairly strict standards, and the first thing he did with all our school children was put us in uniform. And he started off with prefix, and we had drill, and we had all sorts of things we'd never seen before. Then he started on the idea of a Queen Carnival to raise funds, to do something about the dismal looking grounds that were here, a large big holler in the front here, and he got us going on that, and he got the parents involved.
There was no money after Depression. So he said, we'll have a Queen Carnival. And I was thinking, what fun, what fun. But that's how he built up interest. You'd look at him and you'd say, a Queen Carnival, we'll all be dressed up in pretty dresses. So he picked queens. I was one queen. The boss's daughter was another queen. There was about about 6 queens. A red, or the beautiful cape for the queen. Everything was beautiful. He did it. It was his brains.
The whole grounds here was the focal point as far as little kids go. It seems a huge area, really. There's gardens and flowers everywhere. And every area of about 12 or 15 feet of garden. We had 2 pupils would, or about 20 feet, I suppose. 2 pupils would look after that strip, and an older one and a younger one. So that's how they worked out. The younger ones learnt off the older ones how to pick the weeds from the plants, so to speak.
One day he said, there's lots of boys and girls here that could do a lot more. He said, would you like to build a little bungalow? And we laughed.
When was that first introduced to you?
That would be 1937.
He said, well, you have to work out, he said, the measurements, and I think it was 1/8 to a foot or something like that. We had to learn that.
Well, we had a big competition, mostly Form 1 and 2, and we had to draw everything out of that, and draw it down to scale, and taught us how to make sure everything was square and things like that. So that was quite interesting. Did drawings of what we thought we'd do and made block models of it and so forth, and then
the block models inside the classroom.
Yes.
What, laid them out on the floor?
Yes. And then Mr. Darracott picked the ones he thought were the most sensible, and sent them off to Christchurch to Mr. Trengrove, the architect, to pick which was the best. So, and that's how my sister got the top one.
So I was lucky enough to win the first prize, and Helen Mears got the second. So that was the start. Now you have to build a bungalow. You have a plan. Okay, you have a plan. Away we went with the bungalow. But that was the biggest fun of the lot, mixing concrete, and we'd be out there after school, and the fun. And then we made the first wall, and we put it up and it fell down. And Mr. Darracott said, that's no good. So anyhow, we learnt that we had to hang on to it and put boards to support it. We didn't know.
Did anything go wrong?
Yeah.
What went wrong?
Well, the problem was trying to get things square, and even setting up the piles was a difficult project for children, to get them in the correct angle for the sitting room, and then the angles at the back. And we also had trouble later on when we had to put the roof on. We put it on 3 times before we got it right. And I was talking to a carpenter about that recently. He was here visiting from Christchurch, and he said, I don't think our present carpenters could have done better than you did, he said. He said, everything's pre-cut now, the frame is cut and the roof's cut. He said, you boys had to cut it all by hand saw and put it all up by yourself.
Did you feel that you did it all by yourself? Did you feel that you solved the problems yourselves?
Yes. But we couldn't get those angles right on that roof. That had us bluffed. The larger sitting room putting down into the smaller back room. If you look at it, you can see what I mean too, the angle.
So how did you get it right in the end?
by putting it up 3 times.
Just trial and error.
Yes.
So, when things did go wrong, did he take more control, or?
Oh no, he just we had to go back to point 1 and start again because he had a set schedule every day. That's what we had to do.
Did the carpenter from the mill do?
He was a big help. He used to come down most nights to check on what we'd done, and you know, he was a big help. We also had help from other tradesmen, plumbers and electricians, and they used to come and check on our work, and we even had to go out putting in the plumbing and putting in the electrical pipes and everything like that, because in those days it was conduit and you had to put the pipes in and then put the electric cables through it. So we had to go at all that, plus the plumbing, we've done that. So and the brick work, we've done all the chimney and the tapestry front on it, put all that in.
Did Mr. Darracott give you a purpose for building the bungalow, or was it simply because he felt that you could learn an awful lot by doing that?
It was the learning. It was the learning because he knew that boys loved carpentering. He knew that girls loved sewing, girls loved cooking, which we did. And there was 3 of us. There was Helen Mears and Joyce Jones and me, and we used to cook scones. Oh yes, we had to. And mine were always in the bottom burnt because there was such a wee stove, you know, and they'd always put mine in the bottom. So I always had black scones. Yes, we had uniforms for that. We used to have our head covered up and the right things to do there. But then we got wool from Mosgiel Woolen Mills. They gave us, and we weaved it. We weaved it the proper way, and the girls made the bedspread and the boys made the bed. And he actually did bring gifts out from children that he knew they had. He knew it was there in a very miniature form, but he'd bring it out. You know, like he knew Tommy could be a carpenter.
And Tom's built 3 houses
and
since.
Yeah. He used, and I could draw.
And you became, later in life?
Well, I've been a designer in dresses, and I've been working in Fashion House Christchurch as a cutter, and it's all come out, and I've used it. And I still think of Mr. Darracott and thank him, because I lived in Kotuku and I had no other way of learning anything, so where did I learn it? And then we had the big exhibition in Wellington.
1940.
1940.
And you produced a great display about what had been done at Jack
That was
Mills.
very successful. That was very successful, and we sent the bed up and the wool mat and everything. Yes, and we had a drawing of the little bungalow and all the photos. It was very good, very good. And he did teach us to be polite and use our manners. He was wonderful, you know. We had a telephone in the old-fashioned telephone in the bungalow, and one in the school, and the visitor would ring up from the school to say, is it in the right time to come over and visit your little bungalow? And we'd say, yes, we'll be at the door to welcome you. We used to love it. Used to love it. But there, the memory is still there. We love it. We live it. We thank God. We had beautiful schooling with Mr. Darracott. And we are so glad you're keeping his memory alive, because it's worth it. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. Yeah, we did love him. We really loved him.
Look at this amazing little room. All built by Tom and his classmates. Everything in here is built to children's scale. All the cabinet making here, all the doors, this amazing little fireplace, all built by Tom and his classmates back in 1938. This is the dining room. And here's the kitchen. Look at that, everything made by the kids here. This little cupboard cupboard for your flour, your sugar. Little sink. All the plumbing here was put by the children, was all the electric wiring with the help of local tradesmen. Everything. This is the bedroom. Tiny little room again. Little bed, bedside cabinet, all built by the children again. And this is the bathroom. This is the bathroom. Look, bathroom tiles. Tiny little bathroom sink, supplied by one of the companies that the children had to correspond with. Miniature-sized tin bath, again supplied by one of the companies that the children corresponded with. John O'Brien was the first person to sit in this bath. He was the youngest child at the school at the time, 6 years old. And look at this. Tiny little hot water cylinder in here. Fully operational, again supplied by one of those companies. Can you possibly imagine all of the things that these children would have had to learn to complete this project, right from the very beginning, planning stage, right to the completion of the whole thing? Amazing, I think.
This is Catholic Cathedral College in Christchurch. Here, teacher Alf Holt has directed his pupils to undertake a number of significant projects in a course he calls construction.
Well, yeah, I like to start off with a model because it gives you an idea what you're actually building, and you are able to make a few mistakes in those because they don't cost any money to repair. So you start making a model and you see what you're actually doing. Especially with this lever hut here, we made it, and then when we came to build it, we said, oh, that's exactly the same way as we built the model. So they were able to do a lot of the work without having been told how to do it, because they'd all built a model at the beginning of the year. And that's, I believe that's one of the best ways of teaching students to build anything, is build a model first. All the mistakes can be made in that area, and then you know what you're actually up against. Because that is built exactly the same way as we built the full-size one. There's no difference anywhere. The first thing we did back in '96 was a granny flat, and that took us about 18 months to do because we had to go through all the resource situations, and it was quite a difficult one to do, but we were able to do that over a period of time. Plus we had to do it outside of school hours, so they were given time before school and time after school.
They're on a mission. The senior construction class from Catholic Cathedral College. Their latest assignment will put their current form of transport to shame.
Oh, this piece of work here is awesome, but I think the hovercraft will be real fun because it's something I've never done before, and be looking great forward to it because it's going to be primo.
And they're quite keen to show it off. Perhaps a little too keen. But building a hovercraft from scratch is not your average 7th form project.
I'm head of a school doing stuff like this before, so it's a good thing to know that we're the first.
The students have been working on the hovercraft since the beginning of the year, and building a project of this scale has been a valuable learning experience.
Well, they do engineering, carpentry work, painting. There's quite a few skills in this area, so they've been lucky enough to build something really, really good.
We had to build the wings and the whole frame out of marine ply, and we built everything else. We built the little engine mounts and metal bits put on with all this wire stuff.
And it's good practice for work in the real world.
You just learn more skills for when you want to get a job later on. Learn a lot of skills doing this stuff. It's some of the wood stuff's pretty hard out.
They'll make very, very good workers. I recommend them just about to anybody who wants somebody to work for them. They're really good.
Completing the hovercraft hasn't been a cheap exercise.
It costs about $10,000 and all the stuff, all the get a thing. 13 now. Yeah, it's been about yeah. It's supposed to be about 10,000 or something, but a bit more. But just all the different parts, stuff you had to buy in, and engine mounts, and marine ply costed a little bit too. That's what all the stuff's made out of.
But seeing their project in action makes all the hard work and money worthwhile.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Looks quite big and nice. Pretty grunty. James Bond, yeah, jumping with the side there. Grabbing all the criminals. Yeah.
It takes a bit of practice to come to grips with the steering, but once you've mastered that, the hovercraft can reach speeds of up to 50 to 60 k's on land and on water.
And now that they've had a bit of fun, the for sale sign has gone up.
Oh, I don't know, we're open to offers. What we've actually put into it has been, everything's been really well done, so, it's a good value machine, we hope. Quite a bit of work in building these small yachts, but they came out pretty good at the end.
Those are the ribs in there?
Yeah, and each piece was stuck on, glued on, and nailed on all the way around. And if it didn't fit too well, we filled it up with fiberglass.
Back to how you hold it again?
Yeah, that way.
And sealed bulkheads?
Yeah, sealed bulkheads on both sides, both ends, front and back. Yeah, we had a lot of support from the yacht clubs on this, a lot of support. They were ready to have to come down and help us out in any way that we see that we were doing it properly.
What's this?
We built it once and then we took it all apart, and now we're going to build it again over on the island.
College's association with the Quail Island?
Well, we do a lot of work over there. We have done in the past, and like we built dog kennels and planted trees and all sorts of things. Penguin boxes, predators, traps. Yeah, we spent a lot of time on the island.
Honestly, I'm just totally. It's gonna have to be, yep, on the current angle, like so. There. To.
Do you reckon 5 mils? 10 mils? That 5 mils only that.
10. How much is 5?
That much?
Yes,
About right? Right, you're making the call.
Hold it right there, bro. Hold it right there. You're the man if you hold it right there.
Ah, that's my little thingy, man.
Right, mate.
That's my hand.
Thanks, man. You're the...
Don't go on an angle, whatever you do, it'll come out the side. Whoa! It's coming out that side, isn't it?
Who cut this?
Leave it there and get another one in.
Wait, stop. What angle do we measure it on?
Well, you just have to work it out.
So that one.
And what ignited your interest in the island and the leper colony in the first place?
Well, there was just nothing here other than photographs, and it would be nice to have something that which was here a long time ago, and so people could see how other people lived in that time, especially those poor lepers at that time, because they did live a hard life.
How long ago was it that you first came over here and to sort of learnt a bit about, became informed yourself?
Well, I came over here with school camps, and I thought the place was rather unusual and underutilised, and I thought something could be done about it, and along with a lot of other people, a lot of teachers from our school are very interested in it. They do a lot of planting and a lot of work on the island. It's just a really good school project.
What's it been like for you working on this project with Mr. Holt?
Oh, it's been awesome, man. It's just like starting with your building skills and stuff. Mr. Holt's been a real good teacher, actually, and just the basics about building and stuff.
More than 60 years after Edward Darracott's time at Kotuku, we visit Tahuna Normal Intermediate here in Dunedin to see what is feasible in this century. These children of a similar age have also built a house. The donated materials were obtained from the community, and its original purpose was to raise funds for the school. The time available by comparison was much shorter, and this is reflected in the scale of the project, a playhouse. But it has been left at a stage where it could be developed further by its future owners. Scope aside, there are many similar features. Cooperation and initiative are fostered in both cases. The enthusiasm of the children, fully engaged with their own problem solving, is apparent. Some of the technology has changed, but safe use of hand tools puts construction within reach of today's students. Hammering a nail is a small matter compared with putting on a roof, but they still need to get it right.
Oh, we're going to take it out.
See where they made that cut, Phipps. Go down there because...
Where did they make it?
Okay. It's not very good for a ball point, eh?
No, it's crooked.
Improvisation is needed and safety is attended to. While some similar learning can occur within the two projects, other questions are raised. Why were Edward Darracott's expectations for the children of Kotuku so high? How did he fit it into the total school program? Let us not forget the children of Jack's Mills School also transformed their school grounds, wrote newspaper reports, kept financial records, entertained visitors and chose to work after school. What would be an equivalent learning experience in a 21st century school?